Hello, welcome to the Wisdom for Life podcast. David Baker, your host. We're glad that you're here. I have a good thought for you this morning. I think that will help you and encourage you. And it's something in which we all will have to deal, and that is pain. Pain. There's a lot that God has and wants and teaches for pain. Pain's a weird thing. You have physical pain. We understand you get hurt. Something breaks, tears, skin, bone, muscle. It hurts. It's pain. But then there's emotional pain. The emotional pain that hits us. You hear something, you see something, and it's like, wow, I hurt. Literally, I hurt physically on the inside, but nothing punched or cut me. That emotional pain. And it's real and many times even harder. Physical pain, we know a lot of what to do with that, whether I need to go to the doctor, go to chiropractor, or take some aspirin or Advil. But what about the emotional pain? How do you heal and help and fix the emotional pain? By the way, don't run from pain all the time. With pain, with every pain, physical and emotional, you need to stop and ask God, okay, God, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What's the purpose for this pain? Sometimes God uses pain to build us, to teach us. Imagine a weightlifter, anytime he had pain, he stops. Nope, two reps, that's enough. It started to hurt. Yeah, that's the way it's going to build. It rips those muscle fibers so it can build back stronger. And so God will allow us to go through some things to build us back stronger. God will use that. Sometimes God will allow pain to bring us back to him. Psalm 119:67, before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now have I kept thy word. Psalm 119:71, it is good for me that I've been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. It's good for me to be afflicted. So there are things that God will use in our life with pain and affliction to be able to help us. One of the hardest things to admit is that much of the pain we face in our life is because of what we did. Because of what we did. Physically, we can say that. Yeah, I was using the knife the wrong way. Yeah, I was busted my knuckles on the engine. I should have done it this way instead of having my knuckles there. And physically, when we do something stupid, we can take the fault for that. But yet, when it's emotional, so many times we don't. And we look to other people and we blame it on them, which is very hard then to heal from it because now they control it. Now they cause the pain. They control whether I get help or not from it. And you don't want to be that way or you will be a victim. To understand that God wants to help you with pain, let me give you a few things to heal or to cure from that or reason why God allows you to do that. The first one is to get to know Jesus more. To get to know Jesus more. Philippians 3:10, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering, being made conformable unto his death. God will allow pain and hurt, the fellowship of his suffering. When people have gone through the same type pain, they have a fellowship that nobody else has. You have women that have gone through childbearing. Men can't understand that. We have no fellowship of that because we've not been through that. I can meet somebody that's airborne. They were in the military, went through Benning Jump School, and we automatically have a fellowship because we went through the pain of the training of that place the same. We know what that's like. Someone that went through cancer, and boy, okay, I know what you're going through because they've been through that. The fellowship of his suffering, when we allow ourselves to go through this suffering and then get close to Jesus, there's a fellowship that comes with that. And God wants to use that hurt to get closer to God. God will use that to bring us closer to him if we will let him. Okay. So let me help you a way to fix after we have that emotional pain. To fix that. There's sometimes we can go to God and ask God to take it away, and God will. But many times God has a plan and a purpose for it. Matthew 11:28-30 is one of my favorite scriptures. Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden. You got a burden. You got a heartache. You got a weight. You got pain. He said, and I'll give you rest. Wow. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. Ooh, wow. Rest from my emotional state, my emotional turmoil I'm in. Rest from my soul. That's amazing. Sometimes we can go to sleep and get up and our soul is still burdened. We're not rested in our soul. How do we do that? Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. Wait, a yoke is another burden. I already have a burden. I don't need your burden. I already have a burden. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. For I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. Wow. Take his yoke. What is that? His yoke He's seeing people saved. Jesus came to seek and to save that which was lost. He went to prepare a place for us. He wants to bring us there with him. He died for them. He gave us a great commission to go preach the gospel to every creature. That's his burden. He died for them. He wants them saved. Take his yoke. Guess what? It's light. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Here's what you do. Your problem, most of the time you can't change it, or you would. So what you do is go to God. All right, God, give me your yoke. You go out and witness. Tell people how to go to heaven. Tell them about Jesus. And when you do, guess what you'll find out? Wow, his yoke is so easy. It's so light. I don't even feel mine. I don't even feel mine. What a great thing to be able to do. I mentioned earlier, sometimes you can go to God and ask God to take him away. Paul had all faith. Paul raised people from the dead, healed people. But 3 times he went to God and asked God to take away his thorn in the flesh. And God said, no. He said, why? I gave this to you lest you be exalted above measure. Paul had amazing gifts, abundance of revelations. There was given to him a thorn in the flesh. To keep him humble, to make sure he didn't get proud, God gave him a thorn in the flesh. But he said, I'm going to give you grace to handle this. My grace is sufficient. Here's a burden. 3 times asked him to take it away. God didn't. He said, I gave this to you to keep you humble, to keep you from being exalted above measure. But with this problem, I'm going to give you grace. It's going to carry you. It's going to help you. My grace is sufficient. So Paul said, I'll glory in my infirmities now. What? He's going to glory in his pain? Wow. That the power of Christ may rest upon him. That the power of Christ may rest upon him. If you can understand the burden, the pain that you're going through, and God doesn't take it away, he gave it to you for a purpose and a reason, glory in it, so the power of Christ may rest upon you. There's a reason for that. And then Jesus, man, he's our example. He went through more pain than anyone. The excruciating pain of the crucifixion. Excruciating pain came from that word, crucifixion. And it was tough. 3 times, according to Luke and Mark, he went to Jesus, or he went to God, the Father, and said, not my will. He said, if thou wilt, let this cup pass from me. 3 different times. He came back and prayed again. And yet God said, no, I'm not going to take it away. Jesus said, not my will, but thine be done. This is a reason you have to go through this. But he said, with it, how did Jesus make it through? For the joy that was set before him. If we can understand that on the other side of the pain, there's joy. How does a woman make it through the childbirth pains, knowing there's a baby on the other side? Wow, precious. They say it's worth it all. It's worth it all. If we could realize on the other side of this, wow, it's exciting. If I love God and stay called to his purpose, God's going to take this and turn it around for good. I'm not quitting. I can't wait to see what God's going to do and how God's going to turn this around. Realize God has a purpose and a plan in the pain. And the last thing, I love this passage because there's so much comfort in it. Here it says, the ending part of verse 3, the God of all comfort. Okay, so God is the God of all comfort, Father of mercies, who, verse 4, who comforteth us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of God. There's a lot of comfort in that verse. God allows us to go through problems so he can comfort us, so then we can take that comfort and go comfort somebody else with what they're going through. Well, that doesn't seem fair. No, what's not fair is that Jesus had to carry the pain and burden of the cross in order for us to be saved. It's nothing wrong then for us as sinners to go through a pain or an infirmity or a trouble so we get comfort so we can go help someone else. My mom and dad had their first baby. Her name was Debbie, 2 years old. She died of a heart defect. Went in for surgery and didn't make it out. Phew, tough. Wow, hard. They took the comfort of God, and now for decades, they've been able to go to people and comfort them because they were comforted and know that comfort and can use it to help someone else. Wow. That's what God wants to do. What have you been through? What are you going through? Why does God allow you to going through that? Is it like David, before I was afflicted, I went astray? Does God want to use that in your life to help you get close to him and fix some things in your life? Does God want you to get close to him to know the fellowship of his suffering? Anytime I would ever complain about any bad thing that I went through, it would eventually end at Jesus and go, wow, I'm complaining about this size 2 problem. Jesus, the same thing. He had size 10. You ever been betrayed? Jesus more. You ever been hurt by people you loved? Jesus more. Okay? Whatever you've gone through, Jesus has gone through more of it. The fellowship of his suffering, to use it to get closer to God, to pick up his yoke. and go help somebody else. And amazing how God then can pick yours up. To be able to go to God and ask him to take it away. And he says, no, but I'm going to give you grace. I'm going to give you grace. Glory in your infirmities so the power of Christ can rest upon you. And realize the joy that is set before you like Jesus did. There's a purpose and a reason for all of this taking place. And accept God's comfort so you then can comfort other people. Okay, there's a lot there. I wanted to make it short, but I hope that you will take the time to spend some time in those scriptures and think and meditate on the pain that you are going through and the pain that you have, and realize there's a purpose, there's a plan, there's a reason for it, and God wants to use it in your life. All right. Hey, God bless you and have a great week.